Okay. So this is going to go with this. This is going to go with that. Okay. How are we coming? Oh, thank you so much, Sally.
How many more are needed? Raise your hand. Do you need one? We're good. We need one more.
Perfect, perfect.
Does everyone have pasta? Anyone else need? Good?
There it is. Okay. So, homemade pasta.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I can taste the onions. Now, maybe you could tell us how you sauteed it. You saute the onions, or you
Yes.
dump everything together with the
Yes, thank
tomato?
you. What I normally do
What
whenever
do you
I'm
do?
making the red sauce is I put my tomatoes in this pot,
Uh-huh.
and then I get them to where I like them. And then I have them here, I saute the onions and then the garlic and stuff like this. There's no oil in this. Because normally they would, it's done on a dry saute. So you're not cooking with any type of oil or anything like that.
Do you
And you
use
can
broth?
really reduce the amount of calories that you put in a dish. I read an article about Chef AJ. She went into one of her pasta dishes, and they took 500 calories out of a dish, and nobody even noticed that it was gone because you saute without oil. You just saute. I sweat, which we're going to get into right now. I'm going to show you how to sweat, and that's how I make my bechamel sauces, with a sweat. Yeah, I am sweating.
Judy, can I walk around the seconds? What? I was a little skimpy. Can I walk around the
Yeah,
seconds?
yeah.
Sally, we have one
Okay.
here for you.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Make sure salad.
Get you.
What are you
Okay.
not allowed to eat?
So I have something else to do.
Anything that I can.
Yes.
Without using the oil, how do you keep it from sticking to the pan?
This is a stainless steel pan, and like I said, I just sweat. I just put in a little bit. I'm going to show you that right now. The onion sweating thing, which is why I want everybody to see this. It's one of the, I used to cook everything on high temperature. They always tell you to cook on high heat whenever you're not using oil. But the way to go is sweating. And there is a trick to sweating.
I smell it.
This might make you cringe.
Is something burning? No. Are you
The
okay?
trick to sweating, and I'm going to show you here in a minute because I want to be able to explain it. What I'm doing right now, everyone, is I'm getting a roasted pepper ready because we're going to make two sauces out of one. So we're going to make a big thing. We're going to make the full cashew bechamel sauce, which is going to yield about 3.5 to 4 cups. And then we're going to reserve some of that in the blender, and from that same sauce, I'm going to make a nacho cheese sauce out of it. So you're going to get a 2-for-1. So all I'm going to do is put these in the air fryer. This was the only way because I didn't want to have open flames in the library. Probably a bad idea. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start roasting this pepper. Has anybody ever roasted a pepper like this before?
Oh, not in the fryer.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roast the pepper, and then I'm going to put it in here, and then we're going to put saran wrap on it and let it sweat to take the skin off of it. Okay, so we're going to... All right. All right. Everybody's eating. Okay. I want to make sure I have everything because it actually goes kind of quick. A little bit, not really. Okay. So what I'm using here is an induction contributed here by Lulu, and what I'm going to, with the skillet, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on. I think I got to go between heat milk, which is about 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, the recipe calls for 1 cup of onions. Notice, no oil, no nothing on there. Now, this recipe yields 4 cups of sauce. About a 1/4 cup to a 1/3 cup is a serving.
Okay, so let me just reiterate here. So you're on like medium heat?
I'm on a very low heat. I'm going to explain all that.
Real low.
Yeah, I'm going to, yeah.
So on your
So here, okay. Now, I'm neither pro-salt nor anti-salt, but without doing oil, this is what you're going to do, is you're going to put a little bit of salt on there, and that's all the whole dish is going to get, a little bit more. And that's all the salt. So you figure, okay, so it makes 4 cups, and if a quarter cup is a serving, how much salt are you really going to actually get in a serving? Okay, but this is the trick. This is sweating. So what you want to do is you barely, on your stovetop at home, you barely want to hear that pan making a sound. And what the salt doesn't, and by the way, I'm using a kosher salt, and there's a reason for using a fine-grained kosher salt, is you want to put it in there so it permeates into the cell walls of the onion, and then what's going to happen is the onion's going to release its own juices. And then the salt's going to even go into the onion, and it's going to flavor the dish a little bit more. And that's what salt is one of them things that, when used in moderation in the cooking process, it can be very useful. So I use a little bit of salt, and then just from my personal health issues, I was just diagnosed with thyroid disease. I probably had it for a couple years. So I always watch my salt intake now that I know that I have it, because like if I over salt something, I pay for it the next day. I blow up, because that's the thing with thyroid, is you're not able to release some of you retain water. So, but salting my food just like this, I have no problem with it.
So regular salt wouldn't work as well as kosher salt?
Right, right. You want yourself, and then the other thing too is kosher salt is a lot, it's got a heavier grind to it, which means that it actually takes up less space, and you're actually using less. Like if you were to use table salt and do the same thing, you would have more because of the concentration, because it's a finer powder than what you do with this.
Relative to that, I would imagine sea salt would be on the same side, as not as good as kosher salt.
Yeah, yeah. I use a good chunk of that, and then we've talked about it. You know, some chefs, I mean, everything that goes in there, let me throw more in, and let me throw more in. That's it. That's about it. And then what we're going to do is, because the other thing with the cashew sauce is we want to keep it as pure and white as possible. So we don't want to put in a lot of colorings. I don't even put vegetable stock in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of water just to help the onions along.
Judy, you didn't even preheat the pan.
No,
Oh, I didn't.
no. We're already starting to get some sweating going on before I even add the water. So we're going to add just a little bit of water.
The bubbling, or the, when you say the sweating going on,
Moisture coming out of them.
moisture.
Yeah, because of the salt. The moisture's coming out of the onions. And then what we're going to do, yeah, we're getting some nice. So what we want to do is we want our onions to become translucent. So that's going to take a little bit of time. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to cover too, whenever you're doing plant-based cooking, check my peppers. Whenever you're doing plant-based cooking, because we don't rely on fat, and we rely a little bit on salt, and what makes cooking salt, fat, heat, and acid. So